Okay, so I am lock noob. There's a lot of great videos out there of people picking locks. I am not the kind of person who can pick locks very well. I'm quite new to it as a hobby, lock sport, but I really enjoy it. And I thought to myself, why not start to at least record some of my thoughts around lockpicking that I've learned so far. Maybe there are lots of other people who are new to the sport as well, and like me, don't have much of a clue and have had to learn from the ground up really. So first thing I'm going to do is a set of videos just looking at my picking kit and some of the lessons that I've learnt, and maybe think about some pitfalls that you probably don't want to fall into yourself. So the first thing, if you can get that on camera, is my Southord C2010 kit. Now I'm based in the UK. There, for whatever reason, we have a lot of locks which are very tight keyways. You can see one here. This is and move that out of the way. This is an Eva or Everlock, a sort of a typical German make. And you can see how the keyway is paracentric, it's very thin. If you have tools such as, here's a Goso pick, a Chinese brand. I actually don't hate these at all. I think they're pretty good in some ways, but they're quite soft, they bend easily, and they're made of very thick metal, so thick that actually you might not even be able to get the pick inside the lock itself. See if I can see if it'll autofocus for you. You can't actually get the pick inside. Now that isn't very useful if you're trying to pick a lock and you can't get the pick inside the lock. So just a tip there, it does matter what locks you use and what picks you use to pick them with. So just put this one to one side for a minute and go back to my Southord C2010 kit, which, by the way, a huge recommendation here. And I can empty some of it out. I've got a mix of picks in here. I separated it out so I have sort of mostly hooks on one side. Obviously these are varying degrees of hookiness. Move them down a bit so you can see. With quite shallow hooks like this, and really shallow hooks like that. But then we also have what is called the deforest ball, the deforest diamond there. Very similar, and these are designed to actually reach over pins so you don't disturb them as you're trying to pick them. I haven't had much success with these ones, to be perfectly honest. I find that a lot of the European keyways like this are just still too tight, so you can put them in, but the warding itself on the lock stop the pick from being able to go much further down into the keyway. So these might be better on a wider keyway, maybe some of the master padlocks that are out there. Other hooks that are included in this set. This is a deep hook. I hear people calling them postal hooks as well, or gonzos. Again, not had much success with this. I prefer the standard or short hook, of which I've got a couple here, and I'll show up and down. There you go. You'll also notice that in the hook set I have these diamonds, what they call the half diamond and the diamond. Are they hooks, are they rakes? Well, truthfully they can be used as both, and I might try and do a video to demonstrate the difference. But they are sort of a hook if you actually look at the hook profiles. So this is a Southord kind of shallow hook. We just had a bit of abuse. You can probably see the bend here. You know, I'm new, I'm a bit heavy-handed. But if I put the hook there, you should be able to see that where that hook lines up with the diamond, actually, do you know what? Not too far off the profile. If I get this one here and this one here, again, this is a standard hook and standard diamond. If you look at where the diamond itself, or the triangle, should I say, meets the hook, there you go. You see, very similar profile. So you can use them as a way to replace a hook, to also scrub back and forth on the pins a bit as well. So you can scrub back and forth on the pins with this. You can press down, you can press the hook down onto the pins. The only downside is because the diamond is quite wide, you end up pushing down on one pin. You might disturb the pins either side of this diamond as well. That's why lots of people like the half diamond, because it won't disturb the pins either side. But on the other hand, the actual shaft of the pick itself may press down on all the pins before. So, you know, it's having the right tool for the job. Personally, I really like this the Southord slimline picks. I like this standard hook. It really does, in terms of allowing you to get into the keyway, be able to slide it straight down in, and it can wiggle around this warding. I don't know whether you can see that on camera, but you know, you can really get in there and actually wiggle it around that warding. So I really like this set. Snuck in here, you'll see a Peterson with that, a Peterson's gem. It's like a hook, but with a flat end, giving us a little bit of a polishing up to smooth off some of the edges from where it came in. I got this one because one of my favourite YouTubers, Bosnianbill, really likes these Peterson gems, and he's really good with them. I just haven't been able to replicate his success with them, but I'm new, I'm learning. If he can do it with one of these, this is one of his favourite tools, then I'm sure that I will learn eventually. So, you know, don't say this isn't good. It probably is brilliant. It's probably just a user. So those are the sorts of hooks you get. It's a range of shallow and deep hooks, and diamonds and deforest picks, which may or may not be suitable depending on, again, what type of locks you have access to. The other side of my kit, I've put into more or less different types of rake. A couple of these, well, one of them isn't standard in this kit. You don't get the very good Southord Slimline Bogota. A lot of people like this one, this triple peak. I've had some good successes with it. It's quite deep. If you actually look at the amplitude of this from top to bottom, it's actually quite a deep rake. If you compare that to, say, the snake, and actually look at the amplitude of that waveform there, it's really shallow. This, by the way, is my favourite rake, I'd say. I've had more success scrubbing back and forth with this little thing than any of the other ones. Even the mighty Bogota, and I like this one a lot. Again, this kit actually comes with two different types of snake rake. One which actually has a slight upwards or downwards profile, depending which way you want to look at it. And again, this one's very good, and actually is quite nice when you want to get a rake a couple of pins at the back a little deeper. Here we have a worm rake, I guess you want to call it. Again, not had massive amount of success with this. Sometimes it's actually quite successful to rock this one backwards and forwards in the lock as well as scrubbing it. I mean, that's a standard raking technique anyway, but I find it's just a little bit too, in terms of the wavelength here between these parts of the pick. I just find that in a lot of the pin tumblers that I'm picking, it doesn't do so much good in that. Ball rakes, you can't go wrong with the ball rake and the snowman. Very good on wafer locks. I have used them a lot. If you actually look at the again, the waveform on this snowman here, you'll see that it's not too far off. There we go. What the inside of the lock would see. Can you see that snake rake overlaying the snowman? the lock would probably see that as the same, truthfully. Okay, so again, if I only had one, I'd use this one and get it sort of into more locks because it doesn't have the full balls on the end. In fact, some people would have a half snowman. I can show you one of those from my GoSo kit, actually, if I can find it. There you go. That's a half snowman, and actually, when you think about it, you know, unless you're going to get both sides of the lock at the same time, if it's a wave lock or something like that, you don't need to have the full ball on either side. So this is actually quite good. Again, only downside is if you actually look at the thickness of the metal. If I can do that, hopefully you can see that the GoSo is just way too thick for a lot of these European locks, but not too bad in car locks, truthfully. In fact, I'd say the GoSo kit is quite good for car locks, but I'll probably review that one later. So you've had a look at my snakes and worms. I've had a look at these ball rakes, put those over there. I've talked to you about the bow tie, which I really like. I can see why it's got a lot of popularity, but truthfully, I prefer my snake rake. Then you got the this is my first love, the city rake or the L rake. Really nice. I didn't realise for ages that it wasn't a rake in terms of, you know, scrubbing back and forth on the pins, like sawing at it. It took me a while to realise that actually, and watching a lot of videos, is that you're supposed to move back and forth and push down a bit harder, let go a little bit, rock back and forth, trying to replicate as many different profiles on the teeth of this to the lock as possible, in the hope that one of them is likely to set all of those pins above the shear line. Finally, and again, I didn't realise for quite some time that before I started watching videos, and this one's been abused a little bit, it's got a little bit of a bend on it, you probably can see that, is that this is for kinetic attacks. This is a particular type of rake. It acts sort of as a reverse bump key, in that you're pushing the pins down and then you're ripping it out quickly, on the hope that as the pins fall back down, if they got sort of equal spring tension, at some point on their fall back, they might all be at the shear line at the same time, which will allow the lock to turn. I've had some success with it. It's all right. So overall, your Southord C2010 kit, if you're a Euro picker and you're not too heavy-handed and you want some stainless steel, really nice, I think well finished picks, which should, as long as, again, you're not super clumsy like I've been with them, they should last you a very long time. I couldn't recommend them higher, actually. Alright, I'll see you next time.